I saved him. I saved Terry. Saved Terry. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Coming in hot. All right, good morning, everyone. I'm calling the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors March 26, 2024 meeting to order. I would appreciate if everybody could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for CSA employee Joseph Wariska, and then an invocation by Pastor Lonnie Skiles with Big Valley of Grace. I'm going to have our former police chief, Galen Carroll, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence, please, for Joseph Wariska. Thank you.
Read a short passage from Micah 6:8. It says, "He has told us, O man, what is good. So what does the Lord require of us? But to do justice, to love kindness as he's been kind to us, and to walk humbly and not pridefully with our God." That would be good for us today. Lord, I thank you so much for this privilege and the opportunity, Lord, as we come and begin this meeting, to begin it with you. And ask, Lord, that you, who are the giver of all good things, that you would give us wisdom, discernment. Thank you, Lord, for these men who are making sacrifices today to serve our community. And I pray, Lord, that you would lead them wisely in the decisions that we've made here today. Thank you for Joseph and his ministry within the county. Pray you bless his family and those, Lord, who are near to him and miss him today. Lord, you are our great God. All that we have belongs to you. We are here by your grace, by your divine pleasure, and we give you the praise in your most holy name. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you for those words, Pastor. All right, next we have presentations, and we're going to kick off the presentations today with Assyrian Heritage Month here in Stanislaus County. And to do the presentation, we'll have Carmen Morad from Assyrian Wellness Collaborative.
Wow, what a nice welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Graywall, Supervisors, CEO Jody Hayes, County Council, and staff. My name is Carmen Morad, and I am delighted and honored to be here today. The Assyrian community is so appreciative of this proclamation for the Assyrian Heritage Month and celebration of the 6,774 years of our calendar. April 2024 being proclaimed Assyrian Heritage Month means a lot to us. The Assyrian community is a proud community, as Supervisor Vito Chiesa will tell you. And the settlement of Assyrian settlement in Stanislaus County started 130 years ago by the late Reverend Dr. Isaac Adams. He was a visionary and a pioneer who brought families to Stanislaus County to farm. And in search of hope, opportunity, and prosperity. Today, the Assyrian community is, I want to say, 50,000 and strong in Stanislaus County. And this vibrant community is philanthropists, as we'll hear about today, entrepreneurs, business owners, professors, educators, teachers, doctors, nurses, and so much more. So by proclaiming this month, which is the beginning of spring and our new year, which we call Nisan, you have really made us feel valued and welcome. So thank you. I would like to recognize some Assyrian community leaders who are with us today. I would like to begin and ask them to come up. Janet Atanus, she is the chair of the Assyrian Wellness Collaborative. Mr. Tony Vartan, director of Stanislaus County BHRS. Dr. Elizabeth Michaeli Huber, Assyrian National Council of Stanislaus County. Mr. Sam Reshu, Assyrian Universal Alliance, Central Valley Chapter. Mr. Howell, Assyrian American Association of Modesto. Mr. Martin Umaran, Assyrian American National Federation. Shariel Yochana, Assyrian Aid Society of America, Central Valley Chapter. Rowena Marshamun of the Marshamun Foundation. I do believe we have Cyrus Samirfar and Sam David, former presidents of the Assyrian American Civic Club of Turlock. We have Onita Narsu of Cassia and the Assyrian Youth Federation. We are honored to have members of the clergy with us, beginning with His Grace Archdeacon Rabbi Rasha Oshana Canon of the Holy Apostolic Catholic Assyrian Church of the East, Reverend Edward Esau Bake of the St. John Assyrian Presbyterian Church in Turlock, who was our first chair, by the way, and Reverend Charles Barnabas, the United Assyrian Evangelical Church of Turlock. We are honored to be here today. These are some of the leaders in our community. And after some very brief comments by the Chair Atanus and Mr. Tony Vartan, we'll have a brief presentation by Dr. Ron Rodriguez, Dean of CSU Stanislaus Library Services on the Sargis Modern Assyrian Heritage Project. And of course, Mary Wepler Van Driver, she's the librarian of Special Collections and University Archives. And after that, we will briefly hear from two youth of the Assyrian community, he's a young gentleman, Mark Ismail and Zach Ismail. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carmen. Good morning, Councilman, Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors. With your permission. Good morning to them.
Good morning.
It is an honor for us to be here, to be recognized as Nisan, our New Year, just as Carmen mentioned, to recognize and to be the recipient of this honor, to honor the month of April as Assyrian Heritage Month. It really gives me privilege to stand here and to represent our beloved community. We thank you, and may God bless you, the United States, that has welcomed us to be in this great country. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman of the Board, Supervisor Graywall, members of the board, CEO Hayes, and County Council Bose, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to stand before you today as we come together to celebrate the Assyrian New Year and the proclamation of April as Assyrian Heritage Month by the County Board of Supervisors. This recognition not only honors the rich tapestry of Assyrian culture and history, but also is a reaffirmation of enduring contributions that the Assyrians have made to our community and the world at large. For millennia, the Assyrian people have thrived as guardians of a legacy that encompasses great achievements in literature, art, science, mathematics, and governance. From the ancient cities of Nineveh and Ashur to the vibrant diaspora of communities spanning the globe today, Assyrians have persisted through challenges, always preserving their heritage and unwavering pride. As we celebrate the Assyrian New Year and the establishment of Assyrian Heritage Month, let us take this moment to reflect on the resilience and strengths of the Assyrian people. Let us renew our commitment to safeguarding and promoting Assyrian culture, history, identity for generations to come. In my role as the Director of Stanislaus County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, I'm grateful for the opportunity to extend our appreciation to the Assyrian Wellness Collaborative, one of our valued contracted community-based organizations. Their tireless efforts working with us on combating stigma of behavioral health conditions within the Assyrian community, also promoting access to the community is greatly appreciated, and it's a shared vision. In closing, I'd like to extend my appreciation to the board for the recognition and proclamation today. Thank you very much.
We briefly have some comments by Mr. Mark Ismail, representing the Assyrian youth, and Zach will say it in English.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marcus Malik Ismail, and I would like to wish everyone a happy Assyrian New Year, 6,774 years. I would like to also thank the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors for proclaiming the month of April as Assyrian Heritage Month. Now, I would like to say a few words in my mother tongue for my fellow Assyrians. Achanwatan uchatwatan alturaya shlama lochun. Bayan shaklin aha perset qam barchin reshit sheta atureta ishto elpe shwammo shoy arpa qa kulli alturaya gutiwil. Atlan qabl daybuta raba gurta min mushta'lane depneted Stanislaus County qam shatesta dierchet nisan dierchet diertuta alturaya. Kha yoma tash'itanaya qa kulli alturaya bkhaya gudaha pnita. Aha igarta, ile mincha mitchazyanuta yan point of view, tcha alema alturaya bidya gugaluta. Ana shimmi ila, Marcos Milik Ismail, iwan atchasr shinne, o bidyan lacha gu Modesto, California. Iwan askulaya gu bitsawbe bakraya qahawan ardikhla. Shrarad idiom ila, دبوشايوتا دأما عشورايا إلى بخايا جوجلوتا أخنان أطرايا جوجلوتا إوخكوخا قيواندينوس ين دينجر رابا جرتا من بشرتا وطلقتا جو نخرايوتا يركاوخ رابا هشر كد خمخلا هيايوتان تلا بشرخ بابي إوخا شيتا إجت شونيلون أواهل داها أطرا او يمي وشوا شنه يعني اب يمي وبابي جوجلوت القيمه اينا مقيمي وقخا بيت توتا قد اها ايجرتا كتيوالي بتيدات تجاني باتوات تجاني وبتليشانات اطرايا تجاني وبلبلي لن اطرا وخزين دوكت سميله ومصلين دروخت صحده واليتت كل أواها إيلا قد ملبيلون بوني ليشانة أطرايا تشعيتا أطوريتا وتخمنتا أطوريتا أنا بتخشوتي عليمي أطراي بخايا قوشينا وشلاما قوغلوتا إلى خام خددتا قد هاوخ بشخلاني قو يلبانا وقنامية قماسخ صندخ وهيرخ ناشي قطرة واليتت كلن إيلا قد من جلوتا بالشق زدقن بانخ هيرخ صندخ ومقوخ قالن قناشي قطرة هو ترابا بسيمي قماش متوخن خاقاي خيتا هو يبرختا رشد شيتت آطوراي اشتو ألبي شواما شوي أربا قكلوخن.
I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you and all the Assyrians worldwide Happy Assyrian New Year 6774. We are grateful to the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors to recognize this month of April as Assyrian Heritage Month.
a blessed and historic day for all Assyrians living in this county. My name is Zachary Ashud Malik Ismail. I'm a 16-year-old Assyrian-American youth born and raised in Modesto, California. I'm a sophomore in high school and proud to be here and would like to add some context on why this day is so special and meaningful. The truth is that most of our Assyrians today live in diaspora. Very few Assyrian people are left and live in original homeland due to genocides and forced geographical relocation. This has resulted in disbursement and broken families where members live in different countries. This has resulted in many challenges. Today we continue to preserve the fight to preserve our rights and properties in the homeland and at the same time struggle to prosper and live in freedom. As a second generation Assyrian American, it is critical that I and all youth keep our faith and commitment rich to our heritage. Wow, we are celebrating a new year, 6774. It is events like this that give us hope to avoid extinction while strengthening awareness. My mother and father are first generation, and I see how much they care to preserve the culture and heritage. We will continue to honor, take pride, and have the courage to hand down the past to the future generations. Assyrian heritage includes, and not limited to speaking Assyrian, writing Assyrian, dancing Assyrian, and very important to me is eating delicious Assyrian food. Even though we have faced diaspora through immigration and forced movement of our people, we will continue to be proud of our heritage. We are very blessed to live here, yet we will never forget all martyrs and those that sacrifice for the sake of our principle. It is because of them that I'm able to stand here today. Once again, I want to thank you for proclaiming the month of April as Assyrian Heritage Month. God bless you and God bless America. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Before Dr. Ron comes up, I just wanted to say what you heard Mark Ismail speak is the language that Christ spoke. That's why this is so important to us to preserve it and for it to be heard out loud. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ron Rodriguez, and I'm the Dean of the Library Services at California State University, Stanislaus. I'm very pleased to be here and to tell you how the university fulfills not only an educational mission to support the curriculum of the California State University, but also a societal mission as well. A library is a repository for the intellectual consciousness of countless men and women who, through their writings, live again for others to learn and experience. As we approach April and Assyrian Heritage Month, I recall and support the Assyrian community and recognize the Assyrian New Year 6774. To that purpose, the University Library maintains several collections, most in special collections, but in one in particular is that is highly accessible on the first floor of the library. It is called the Modern Assyrian Heritage Collection. It consists of over 900 titles and covers the Assyrian experience in all aspects from roughly 700 AD until the present. For those who are familiar with modern Assyrian history, you will know that that history is distinguished by Assyrian diaspora, which refers to Assyrians living in communities outside their ancestral homeland. In the case of Assyrians, their homelands are in divided regions of Iraq, southeastern Turkey, northwestern Iran, and northeastern Syria. Assyrians have suffered major genocide throughout the 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries. The most recent large-scale persecution occurred during World War I, and between 275,000 to 300,000 Assyrians were slaughtered. The cities of Modesto, but particularly Turlock, have been a destination of Assyrians displaced from their homelands. This fact leads me to mention now a benefactor of the Modern Assyrian Heritage Collection, that is Mr. Francis Sargis. Mr. Sargis came to Turlock at age 14 in 1947. He maintained a successful law practice in Santa Barbara and now is retired. The collection honors his mother, who lived in Turlock for 6 decades. As I said, there's over 900 items in the collection, and today I brought 4 books, and being a librarian, I can't help but bring the books. So the first one is Assyrians and Yonkers, Reminiscences of a Community. And again, this is near New York. Assyrians settled in New York as well. A book on Assyrians in Chicago, so a Midwestern city, and all about the acculturation and the struggles of dealing as people with distinct culture in a city. And then a broader book on Assyrian heritage, which covers all aspects of societal impacts. And then the last one on a big overview of Syrian genocide, cultural and political legacies. And again, I bring these books as just as a testament to the strong and collection that we do have, and I welcome and encourage you all to anytime drop by the university and explore the books in the collection. And I thank you all. And I also want to say one more thing. I will end by quoting Mr. Sargas. Heritage is a part of us because it's in our genes. It is good to understand and embrace it, because whether we know it or not, the decisions we make grow out of this reality. Heritage does not determine who we are, but it provides an important marker as to where we started in life. So again, once again, I thank you all for inviting me, and also too, I want to recognize Mary Webler Van Diver, our Special Collections University librarian, who maintains the collection and everything good about it. So thank you all for having me here today. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for allowing us this lengthy presentation. We do appreciate it. 7,000 years of history is not easy to cover in a few minutes. And every time we get together, we close everything with a prayer. So in closing, a very brief prayer by Archdeacon Oshana Cannon of the Assyrian Church of the East. Those decorations that you see there, those are gifted by the United Assyrian Evangelical Church, Mrs. Janet Detanus. Those are for the supervisor. They're Easter cake decorations, and please take one to your home. Thank you.
In the name of the God and the Holy Spirit, Amen. Father, all-powerful and ever-living God, we do well always and everywhere to give you thanks. Guide us in your truth and teach us, for you are God, our Savior. Through your gift of the Spirit, you bless us, even now, with comfort and healing, strength and hope, forgiveness and peace. Bless our great country of America. Bless each and every one of the Stanislaus County staff. And we ask this through Christ our Lord and Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Join me down for the picture. No, I'm going to stay out here, but. Well, thank you so much for that presentation. You're right, 7,000 years of history, compiled about 25 minutes from various leaders from the Assyrian community. The Assyrian community here in Stanislaus County is prospering as we have many churches, clubs, entrepreneurs, leaders, media platforms, and we heard from the young students. I'm dating myself a little bit, but I can remember the exact day that Mark Ishmael was born because his parents lived next door to us. I was 12 at the time. So again, a Happy New Year. We cannot thank all the contributions of the Assyrian community to Stanislaus County. Although you guys are in 50,000 strong in Turlock, Modesto, but all parts of Stanislaus County, and you're a vital part of our community, and we can't thank you enough. So it is our honor as a board to proclaim April as Assyrian Heritage Month in Stanislaus County. Thank you. So I'm going to invite my fellow board members to add to the group of pictures. I think we're going to have to go into the panoramic lens on this picture. So please, as many people that would like to join in on the picture, and thank you so much for making the time today to come to be celebrated, celebrating the New Year, but also celebrating all the accomplishments of the Assyrian community here in Stanislaus County.
They really should just throw in this whole area, but
Thank you so much. I'm going to have my colleague from Stanislaus County District 2, Vito Chiesa, who a large population of the Assyrian community reside in his district. A few words from Vito.
Thank you very much. And I just want to thank everyone. And remember, Carmen will never let anyone ever forget about the Assyrian community here at the Board of Supervisors. She does such an awesome job. And to the community, I always say the same thing, and Carmen always repeats it. It is the proudest group of people I've ever met in my entire life. There's no society that has had more adversity and continues to be persecuted than yourself. You found a home here, right? You're loved here, you're part of the community. The tradition stays alive. I come and watch you guys dance all the time at the festivals, and keep it alive. Keep speaking the language, keep doing what you do, and from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everything you do.
And also, thank you, Carmen, for serving on the Stanislaus County Planning Commission, doing more work in Stanislaus County. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate getting the opportunity to celebrate with you. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
thank you. Next thing I want to do is and put it in the
Thank you so much. I'm going to continue on with the meeting. So our next presentation is recognition of Tamara Thomas, our Human Relations Director, and sadly, but happy for her, she's going to be retiring. So we're going to acknowledge 35 years of service to the county and her upcoming retirement, and the presentation will be conducted by CEO Hayes.
All right, Tamara, don't sit down. Go ahead, come on up here and join me. Morning. See, I thought the room was packed to see our capital improvement plan presentation later. So don't run off. It's coming. It's going to be great. Okay, so on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, community members, and county leadership, I wish to acknowledge and recognize Ms. Tamara Thomas upon her very well-deserved retirement, having dedicated 35 years in public service. Tamara's journey started with the District Attorney Family Support Division as a typist clerk too in 1989. Part-time, she says. Okay. Although she got a full-time amount of work done in a part-time, right? She was quick to learn and immediately advanced through the Legal Clerk Series and Family Support Officer Series, earning the role of Senior Family Support Officer just 6 years into her county career. And by her 9th year of service, Tamara had proven herself to be a subject matter expert on child support matters, earning a promotion to Associate Director for Child Support. I can tell you this was no easy feat. Going from the ground floor to the top leadership position this quickly was not only impressive, but also very uncommon for the time. In her role as Associate Director, Tamara was frequently the lead representative on behalf of the department on numerous work groups at the local, state, and federal level. She emerged as a sought-after speaker and coach for leadership and child support operations. She also shared her talents for teaching with other county departments through the County Learning Institute. Tamara was instrumental in the transition of the DA Family Support Division to a new standalone county department that we called the Department of Child Support Services. This was a big change operationally and culturally for the department, and Tamara was our point person to ensure a smooth transition for all. It was no surprise to any of us that Tamara was selected to fill the role of Director of Child Support Services when the position became available in 2010. She was a very active department head, not just in her home department, but reaching out to others to share her expertise and provide leadership support when called upon. She filled leadership roles in child support associations at the state and national levels, helping influence many of the regulations that we operate under today. Tamara's career was already a benchmark example of professional growth and increasing organizational value, but that wasn't enough. About 7 years ago, our office had a vacancy to fill as Human Resources Director. We asked Tamara to fill in temporarily for 6 months, but we enjoyed her contributions on our CEO senior leadership team too much and somehow forgot to transfer her back to child support after that initial 6 months. Tamara was actually very supportive of taking on the challenge as County HR Director and willingly stepped out of her comfort zone to take on this challenging role in the organization and was named HR Director in February of 2017. We are so proud of the leaders who have grown up through the county organization, but it is a rare leader that is both willing and able to master multiple disciplines on their journey of leadership. Tamara is that rare leader. I have had a front row seat as Tamara expanded and grew our HR capabilities over these last 7 years. She took the department through a significant rebranding effort, setting forth a clear vision and mission to attract, cultivate, and retain a world-class workforce. She greatly improved our learning and development program and recruitment retention strategies, while also leading numerous efforts to support our employee relations through countless union agreements. These are no easy tasks, but it is what you get when you sign up for continuous improvement through a leader like Tamara Thomas. So on a very personal note, I want to thank Tamara for our many one-on-one discussions that I hope served you as well as they served me. You need thick skin to sit in the HR director's chair, but you also need to know that sometimes the noise can seem too loud to drown out your song. I appreciate so much of what you have done in your 35 years of public service, and I especially appreciate you singing the song of leadership no matter the circumstances. On behalf of our entire community, I want to thank Tamara Thomas for her tireless service to the employees and residents of Stanislaus County and congratulate you on 35 years of public service and your very, very well-deserved retirement here from Stanislaus County. So we have all kinds of parting gifts as we do for our department heads. And actually, if Manny, do you want to join me in just kind of handing out the goodies here? Okay. And then Tamara, you get to speak as well. So we have a tradition here of providing a clock to our retired department heads who no longer need to know what time it is. So you get your clock. Here you go. It's beautiful. It's got your name right on there. That. We also have a commendation from the Board of Supervisors as well as your 35-year certificate here that we'll hold on to you because we're going to give you a chance to speak here in just a moment. I know you have your work family is here, both past and present, and you have family here as well. I can see them out there, and you already have somebody cheerleading for you out there as well. So I'm going to hand this over to you, and it's all yours. Oh, sorry.
Before we hand it over to you, I know many members of the board would like to acknowledge your 35 years of service. I've had the privilege for the last 5 years working with you. And one thing about Tamara, like Jody said, in the HR director position, times can be very stressful, especially when you're going through negotiations and things as such. But her demeanor and her attitude was always positive. It was always a can-do attitude. So not seeing her stressed out, like alleviated the stress from hers. So I always gauged it this way. If Tamara says everything's good, then everything's good. And if Tamara says you need to worry, then we really need to worry. So we appreciate you guarding us from all that stress and all the back and forth and all the stuff you did in your role to help the board make sound decisions. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm going to give this opportunity to my fellow board members. Many of them worked with you for many, many years. Some even went to high school with you. Thank you for doing that on behalf of the county. But if any of my colleagues, Supervisor Chiesa.
Thank you very much. So I went to school with her husband, Dr. Mike Thomas, over there, raising his hand. And so but we've known each other since high school because Tamara used to come to our proms with boys that weren't her husband. It just sounds good. Come on, go with it. But I know all the girls at Houston who played basketball didn't like Tamara because she would always, she was one of the toughest chicks you'd ever met in your life. Great basketball player, great athlete, and a good person on top of it, but very competitive to say the least. And so we kind of grew up with each other. Again, she met this, Mike is a class of 81, a year above me. That's how I refer to everyone by their class in Houston. And just had a great experience. And then when I was elected, we started working together again. And I would reiterate exactly what the chair had just said. When you go through negotiations, it's the toughest position. We always ask for a copy of your dental record so we can identify you later at some time, just in case. But been a stalwart of leadership. If you were in her original, the child support division, if you talk to anyone in the state of California, this is the resident expert. She still is in demand on that side. She spent a great deal of her career and then came over to the HR side. If any of you have children and you want to learn leadership qualities, this is the person you talk to. The most positive spirited, team builder within her department. It is truly something that is out of this world. Your volunteerism in the community to make the communities better is really where it's at. And I always like to say that we get paid, right, to do a good job in our jobs here. It's what you do outside of work and the difference. And I can tell by your beautiful family all the time that you've done a great job of raising your kids and just making Houston a better place. So on behalf of myself, I hate to talk too much. 35 years, I love you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm going to let you hold your clock again.
All right.
So I don't want to repeat everything that everybody said is true about you, Tamara. I got 13 years with you out of your 35 here. But the one thing that hasn't been said, and this is what I judge people by, is your heart. And all those things, all those skills you have, all those things you've done over the years. But the thing that most important to me is you've got a good heart, and people can see that sincerity, and it just as you do your job, as you're a professional and all these things you do, if you've got that good heart, it just means everything to everybody. And so I've always seen that in you, and appreciate it. And we're going to miss you a ton. We love you.
I just wanted to say thank you for keeping me out of the HR's office. Thank you so much for your leadership, what you did for the organization, and what you did for Stanislaus County. Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. All right. Well, thank you very much. Those were so very kind words, and I take every one of them to heart, and I will carry them with me through my next journey. First and foremost, I want to thank my family for being here today. I want to thank them for enduring those 35 years. Every day is a challenge when you're trying to raise a family and be a good spouse and do all of the things that you need to do when you know you have professional responsibilities in the workplace as well. So I appreciate their constant support. Thank you for being here today. I know it's a challenge, and there's no better word than hearing your granddaughter yell "Grandma" from the audience. So really grateful to all of my family and the efforts and the sacrifices to be here this morning. I want to thank the board, this board particularly, CEO Hayes and County Council Bowes for their constant support. There are very few people you can talk to when you are the HR director. And to get that support, that level of support, and know that they are just a phone call away means a great deal to me. And it meant a lot in the last 8 years of being here in this role and this position. So thank you again. Would be really remiss if I didn't thank the people who hired me, Ron Krasko and Judy Krebsbaugh. I think I walked into the DA's office. DA Stahl was the DA at the time. And I thought I might last 6 weeks. The workload was incredible, but the opportunity to be tied to Stanislaus County quickly took root. And I never looked back. I never felt like there was any other place for me, and this really was home. And so to those two individuals who hired me, I could not be more grateful. Really grateful for all of the staff that I had a chance to work with. And I say work with, they didn't work for me. They were right alongside me on all of the projects that we did and all of the recognition and all of the progression that we made in the child support program during my formative years really gave me the skill set and the support to be able to take off and do things with that program that you wouldn't have thought we could do. Being part of a national federal demonstration project for 5 years with the commissioner out at OCSC and 12 other states and counties was an incredible experience. And it really turned the corner for fatherhood programs in this community. And I am ever so grateful for that opportunity and that grant that allowed us to do that for 5 years. I want to thank my friendships. You don't realize that in 30, 35 years, your friends will become like family. And some of them are here in the audience today. And I would not be standing here today if I did not have that support. And if I can encourage any employees here today to find those people, find those tribe members who are going to stand behind you and are going to see the vision and see the efforts and really support you when the times are rough, find those people. They will be lifelong friends. And I am so grateful to be able to know I'm going into that next journey with those people surrounding me and my family. I just really want to say there is no better place to work than Stanislaus County. When I was about 16, my neighbor, Mr. Kleinfeld, told me, you got to go to work for the county. He had already been retired, and at 16, I was thinking, what in the world? Why am I getting recruited at 16 to go to the county? And I was thinking about my dad being at Tri-Valley Growers for 40 years, right? And just a hardworking cannery manager. And those examples of people who gave to their organization, Mr. Kleinfeld, my dad, people who were very loyal to their organizations, made an impression on me over time. And I knew when I got here that this was going to be, like I said, home. And I cannot encourage those of you who are in the audience to stay with the county. It has been a wonderful experience. It's been wonderful to me. Very challenging, very hard things. Very sad things and very, very happy things. But what else for a well-rounded life? So my best wishes to all of you who will be here behind me. Carry that torch, carry that baton. The race is being run, and I will support you 100% from afar. I do want to say I am going to do some community service work in Houston, so Lloyd, watch out. Chief McKinnon, you can look for me. Maybe I'll come back to Parks and Rec, who knows. But I'm very, very grateful for the footing that the county has given me for the rest of my life. It's just been tremendous. Thank you all very much.
The Thomas family, come on up.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You need help.
Good?
Good? Okay. Just gonna do a quick family photo, okay?
How are you, brother? Please do stop. Congratulations.
Tamara, you're still honorary captain of our softball league, so please come back when the season starts. Thank you. All right, we're done with presentations. Next is public comment period. And my first public comment card is Destiny Suarez from Senator Marie Alvarado Gill's office.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors again. Destiny Suarez with Senator Marie Alvarado Gill, District Rep and Communications Aide. I just wanted to share some great news with the board and the community regarding our Woman of the Year honoree. So back in February, our office started accepting nominations for the Senate District 4 honoree for the 2024 California Making Her Story. After receiving numerous nominations from across the district, we presented resolutions to selected honorees in honor of the Women's History Month. Supervisor Graywall did nominate Amy Carroll, who ended up being an honoree that our team had selected. And then just a little bit brief of Amy. So Amy Carroll is a remarkable woman who has made immense contributions to our community. She is a passionate advocate for women's issues and works closely with the board for the Family Justice Center to assist victims of abuse. She is highly aware of the needs of our district and believes in providing healthcare access to all, regardless of financial, language, or cultural barriers. Her focus on health equity and accessibility and her practices and advocacy is essential to the growth of our healthcare system in Stanislaus County. Apart from her healthcare advocacy, she is also very involved in the community, such as being a board member for the Modesto Symphony Orchestra and the Stanislaus County of Education Foundation Board. Additionally, she participates in the Latino Leadership Development Initiative through the city ministry, which focuses on youth resources. Her dedication to serving our community through these various organizations is truly inspiring and an example that other women of all ages hope to follow one day. Aside from Amy's involvement, she is a kind, humble, smart, and driven woman who goes above and beyond to ensure others have all the resources they need to survive and thrive in Stanislaus community. We believe that this award is just the beginning of her work, and we hope that she continues to break down barriers and expand horizons for women who look up to her. On behalf of the California State Senate and California State Senator, we'd like to congratulate Amy Carroll for being a Senate District 4 honoree for the 2024 California Making Her Story with this resolution.
I'll do this. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Congratulations, Amy Carroll. It couldn't have gone to a more deserving person, because she has such a huge role in this community. The first time I met Amy Carroll, she was working at United Way, and so working for a nonprofit, that builds character. And then I had the privilege of working with her at the City of Modesto as our PIO, and then she left for greener pastures and came to Stanislaus County as Public Information Officer, and now she's serving the community at Golden Valley Health Centers. I consider Amy a friend. Her husband Galen was our former police chief, a friend, and they just don't come to work and then call it quits. They're in the community, doing good things for the community. And that's why it was my honor and privilege to nominate you for this award. Thank you to the senator for accepting and acknowledging Amy for this award. It couldn't have gone to a more deserving purpose. Thank you for everything you do to make Stanislaus County a better place to live in. And picture. And then we'll take one. If my colleagues would guys go first. Okay. Okay. Yes, if you want to join in on this.
Can I say a couple things? Okay. So first of all, thank you so much, Chairman Graywall, friend, and the rest of the board, and CEO Hayes, and all the rest of you who I feel like are family because I worked here at the county for several years, and I kind of think about Manny as someone who I've known for a long time, but when I was at the city, he was a city council member, and then when I came to the county, he became a supervisor, so I feel like he should come to Golden Valley Health Centers next.
Anytime, sir.
Anyway, thank you so much for the nomination, Manny, and I'm also really thankful to my team at Golden Valley Health Centers. There's a handful of them back over here, and I'm so thankful for the work that they do and the impact that these guys make. It's really a privilege and an honor every day to go to work. And I'm also thankful to Senator Alvarado Gil. She has done a tremendous job really representing the residents of this district, and she's accessible and relatable and cares about this community, and it's really been a joy to get to know her. But I also wanted to say thank you to my family who's here, my mom and dad, and my husband Galen. I grew up in this community. I've been here for 44 years, and for sure there are problems in this community. We all know that and are aware of that, and that's why we're here, right? Every single one of us works in a capacity where we can improve our community and make it better, and like Destiny said, ensure that people don't just survive, that they thrive. And so I'm just honored and privileged to have had so many opportunities to serve this community because I think it's a wonderful place to live, and I find it a privilege to be here and to be able to do the work that I do. And last weekend I wanted to mention, I went to church with my parents, and Reverend Deborah Brady said something that really stuck with me throughout the last couple days, which was, what are you up to? Really kind of challenged the church to think about what you're doing. Are you up to something good? Are you involved in pursuits that are worthy of your time? And it made me think that with all of the work that I do professionally and kind of on a volunteer basis, if at the end of my life that my friends and my family stand around my grave and they think she was always up to something good, then I will have finished strong. So that is my goal. I'm so proud and humbled and honored to have received this award, and thank you. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to Senator Maria Alvarado Gil for acknowledging residents here in her district. And then your counterpart, Amy Yamilet, who's the Batman to your Robin or the Robin to your Batman, but you guys make a great team and you guys do so much good for this community, and we thank you for it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, next public comment card, I have Juentino Rodriguez.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Juventino Rodríguez.
Good morning, my name is Juventino Rodriguez.
Y aquí estoy este día presente.
I'm here present today.
Haciendo una injusticia que he hecho este condado contra mi persona.
This county made an unfair injustice against my person.
Sus oficiales.
Your officers.
Alanis.
Your officers, Alanis. Ellen.
Me han encarcelado injusticia sin tener justicia.
I was incarcerated.
Me llevaron a la cárcel.
They took me to jail.
Sin tener razón de nada.
There was no reason for that.
Y Me hicieron cargos.
and they did press charges against me.
Es difícil, dispensen, pero es difícil hablar todo esto porque
Sorry, this is very hard for me.
no es la primera vez que ha existido este condado contra mí y es la primera vez que vengo a hacer esto porque me duele mi alma.
This is the first time I'm out here speaking in public. It is very hard for me.
Todos estos
my soul
años
hurts. All these
he
years,
vivido en las tinieblas, en la oscuridad,
I've been living in the shadows
porque tengo miedo que la policía me agarre,
because I'm afraid the police is going to
porque no tengo mi
arrest
licencia de
me
manejar
because I do not have a driver's license.
y no la tengo porque
And I don't have it because
también en el departamento de Child Support han hecho injusticia contra mí.
in the Department of Child Support there has been some injustice done.
He ido y les he reclamado, les he explicado
I have gone and
y
explained
nunca
to
me han
them,
hecho caso.
and nobody has ever listened to me.
Y lo que más me dolió son los comentarios que el oficial Alanis hizo contra mi hijo.
What most hurt me was the comments that Officer Alanis did against my son.
Mi hijo
My son
fue balaceado.
was shot,
Y el oficial Alanis dice que se lo deserve, que se lo merecía.
Officer Alanis made a comment that my son deserved to be shot.
¿Se imagina qué es lo que yo sentí en ese instante? ¿Qué
Can you
dijo esto de
imagine
mi
my
hijo?
feelings when he said that about my son?
Ya no puedo decir nada.
I can't say anything else.
Thank you. My next public comment card is Mary Miranda. Mary Miranda from Host House Board.
They want to speak up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Cheryl Lex.
Hi, and I'm Mary Miranda. Yolanda Magana.
We are the Host House Board, part of the Host House Board, and we would like to thank the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors for consideration of the Host House funds request for community development funds.
Yeah, so we have that item on consent.
Okay.
I can pull that item off if you want to comment on that item, or if you just want to just say it in public comment, and then we'll proceed forward.
We just wanted to thank you, and we weren't sure exactly how this went. We are here to answer any questions. If it's on approval, we'll just go ahead and thank you. We would like to thank Chance Condit and Russell Fowler and Ruben Imperial, the gentleman who met with us in January for our first request. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And then if you could please just stick around if any members of the board have any questions when the item comes up. But we appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have Debbie Martinez.
Good morning, Debbie Martinez. I represent the community under the umbrella of We Are La Raza Parents Union. I am founder of We Are La Raza Parents Union. I also sit on several boards here in this county. I sit with the Latino Community Roundtable as a board member, along with California Rural Associations. I sit under their educational committee. I'm here before the governing board. First of all, I want to thank Manny. I remember I helped campaign with you or when you were in the city. Buck, Terry, Chance, Vito, congratulations. You guys did it again. You won your terms. I want to, first of all, congratulate each and every one of you because as I've come before this board, each and every one of you have taken time for me. I've been serving my community for 40 years, no funding, no 501c, no grants. I just voice for the voiceless. I saw a beautiful presentation for the Assyrian population. In Turlock Unified School District, I've had to go pull expulsions unjustifiably. I currently have grievances in HR because they don't have a voice. When it turns into a civil matter, where do I go? I keep saying it over and over and over. Where is my voice when our children come home victimized? Where is our voice when we need legal representation from City Council and the County Board of Supervisors? Right now, I currently am in Modesto City Schools, South Side. What they're doing to those children over there, you just saw a broken man. They're calling PD on our families now when they tried to come forward and voice. ICE is the next leverage that educators are using on our Hispanic population. That needs to stop. Southside Modesto is currently being interrupted. West Side, we ended up taking them to court. Burbank Elementary School, we gained 2.5 for that family. We shouldn't have to be in court when it's a public setting. East Side, we ended up in federal courts. We proved that Modesto City Schools was racist, biased, they lack empathy and compassion when they were interrupting my foster care system. Something needs to be done if we are going to properly educate these children, give County Office of Education $368,000 annual fee to do what? Give us bogus programs? When is somebody going to say enough is enough? We cannot properly put them in workforce if we are not properly educating them. It is not fair that our constitutions are being interrupted, safe, secure, and peaceful, with no voice to come back to. So once you guys, again, sit on these terms, I'm not foreign to this board. Yesterday, I called out Modesto City School, and I said, if you guys aren't going to do your job, I'll just take them all to series. And that's what I'm going to start doing until we can get better, proper service in our public settings of education. Thank you.
Thank you. My next speaker is Kenneth Brian Evett.
Good morning, supervisors.
Good morning, Kenneth.
I'm here because I'm a landlord, and we have problems with us landlords. Today, what we have is people that are on drugs, people that turn around and want to squat on our properties, people that break into our houses, change our locks. But we have no backing from the police department because these squatters have legal rights now. Now, I've been beaten, broken, thrown in hospitals, thrown in jail over these same type of people, and it's called a reversism, which is a Darvo law, which means that they turn around, they're the criminals, and then they try to turn it around and say they're the victims. And this is what we wind up with. We have no protection here. We can't get you guys to change it. We can't get officers to change it. So this needs to be spoke out to protect us. You know, and every time I come back and I put a claim in against this problem, I'm refused my claim by you guys. And it's sent off to your George house. And they like a laughing matter. They sit there and say, well, just sue us. Is that what I'm supposed to do? Just sue you guys constantly? And then they say, well, if you sue us, we're going to sue you back and we're going to get the money. That doesn't solve the problem. That just puts more of a problem on us. Now, this is getting ridiculous. This happens to me over and over. I've been a landlord since 1984. And I mean, I've gone through this over and over. I find myself in jail. I find myself in a hospital. No protection of the law. No protection. My kids have to see the law being broken by the officers. This last one was a burglar. Came in, and the officers, he's honest, he's gonna bring it back. He's going to bring it back. I said, well, if he comes back, I'm going to arrest him. That's my civic duty to arrest that man. I was told by the officer, you cannot arrest him. I was told by his sergeant, you cannot arrest him. The next day, he turns around, just as Darvo says, I threatened him. The only threat I made was to that officer to arrest that man. I wound up in jail. I get to go to the jail. They don't let me make phone calls. They put me in a wet, fecal mattered cell. I'm kicking the door saying, please let me make my phone call and get my phone. No, they take my shoes away, so I'm walking around in this fecal matter. Then I think, oh, I'm an honest citizen. I have no felonies. I own properties here. I go, they're going to let me out of my OR. I got a judge that turns around and sits there and says, oh, I got a 15-page report. There's no 15-page report. We're not going to let you out. You have a $65,000 bail you have to pay. Now, to get out of that jail, I have to pay $65,000 for a burglar breaking into a house that I can't arrest, but the burglar the next day can have me arrested by the same officer that man isn't even in his jurisdiction. Now, I'm wondering what is really going on here. Are you guys just after us as landlords? Are you just going to beat us down until you take it? Is this called Modesto manage over dead estates, secure tax orders? Is that what we have to look at? Is this what we're looking at? Where do we get the help? If we can't get officers to help us, we can't get you guys to help us, we can't get your attorneys to help us, because it's just a laughing matter. It's a laughing matter. Can you believe that? When somebody says, well, just sue me, because I'll sue you back and that'll cost you more money. Is this what we have to keep playing? And you've seen me in here before. I don't like coming in here. I have work to do. I have people to care for. But here I am again. Why does this keep happening? We were supposed to have oversight. Last time I was in here, oversight. Last time I was in here, I said, we need something more for public defenders, because if this is happening to me, a lot of people can't afford this. But when do we get this? Or does it just keep happening year after year after year? And you guys are the ones that can help. You can change this. You can protect us landlords. You can tell the officers that are out there to learn the law, that we have civic duties. When a burglar or somebody is trespassing, we have the right to remove them. Otherwise, we're just running into anarchy. And this is already happening across our country. And our own court systems, well, they won't drop it, because they're just like the prosecutors that are in New York dealing with Trump. Now, is this going to happen to each of us, individuals? Is this what we're going to have to go through? We need changes here. These changes are really desperate. Otherwise, there's no way any of us are going to get ahead. That's really all I got to say. I got to do something about it. It has to start with you guys. It has to start with the entities that we have out here. They're the ones that make it happen. Protect us. Otherwise, we're right back to anarchy. My time's up, but I appreciate it. I don't know if we'll ever get anywhere, but I hope we do sometime. Otherwise, I'll be in here all the time. And I'll be a part of you guys just like you're showing up, I will be here. Because I believe that people can work together, we could solve these problems.
Thank you.
I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you. Next speaker is Norma E. Hernandez.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Mi caso lo trae el Distrito Attorney Jet Launguero.
My case was being handled by District Attorney Jeff Langaro.
Pero no lo he visto y
I haven't
hay
been
otro
able to
caso
see him.
más que quiero
There's another case that I would like to.
que si se puede ver todos los videos donde hemos sido abusados en mi departamento aquí, porque es muy importante que ustedes vean los criminales cherries que existen.
Okay, I would like to see if it's possible to see all the security footage from our officers from my apartment, just so you guys can see all the injustice that has been done against me.
Me gustaría que toda la gente que está aquí
I would like everybody here to be able
viniera a
to
la
see
junta
it.
pasada y ustedes pudieran solicitar todos los videos donde han traspasado los cherries a mi departamento sin una orden.
Where I would like everybody here to be present at a Board of Supervisors meeting where you guys can request the footage, the videos of these officers coming to my house, entering my house without a warrant,
Abusándonos de mí y de mi hijo, que ustedes saben todas las enfermedades que él tiene.
abusing of myself and my son, which you guys know of all his health issues that he has.
Ya no nomás somos yo y mi hijo, es mi ex esposo, el papá de mi hijo, que
Now it's
está
not
balanceado.
just only me and my son, it's also my ex-husband,
Juventino Rodríguez, el que no pudo hablar ahorita.
Juventino Rodriguez, who wasn't able to speak.
El marzo 19,
On March 19th,
al abrir yo mi fensa, me golpeé aquí.
I opened my fence and I hit my forehead.
Cuando nosotros fuimos yo le hablé a Juventino que fuera a ayudarme a hacer un concreto en la casa, una banqueta para mi hijo.
I called Juventino to come over, if he could come over to my property to help me build a sidewalk
Y lo
for
teníamos
my
que
son.
llevar a una cita.
And we had to take him to an appointment.
Cuando nosotros terminamos de hacer lo que teníamos que hacer, pasamos a comer unas hamburguesas
When
muy
we were
felices.
finished, we went and had a hamburger.
Cuando llegamos para la casa,
When we returned home,
miramos que estaban los oficiales con Amber Rodríguez.
we noticed that there was an officer with Amber Rodriguez.
La criminal es dispatcher del Cherry,
This is the criminal dispatcher for the sheriff's department
que no puede usar su dirección porque esconde algo muy grande.
that can't use her own address because she's hiding something.
Y usa mi dirección,
And she uses my address,
haciendo creer que ella vive en mi casa.
making people believe she lives at my house.
Su hijo también fue un criminal, Dacton Rodríguez,
Her son is also a criminal. I didn't
que
get
el
the first name,
departamento
but
del Cherry
Rodriguez.
estaba pensando que mi hijo era el hijo de Amber.
The sheriff's department was under the impression that my son was Amber Rodriguez's son.
Cuando metimos el carro para dentro de la fensa, aquí tengo fotografías.
When we put in the car inside the fence, I have pictures right here.
El oficial Analis
The officer Alanis
traspasó mi fensa para adentro,
trespassed inside my property.
tratándome con violencia.
He was treating me with violence.
Yo soy una víctima de violencia doméstica, tengo 2 balas en mi espalda.
I am a victim of a crime. I was shot twice
Una
in my
víctima
back.
una víctima de crimen y una víctima de robo de identidad.
I was a victim of a crime and I was a victim of identity theft.
Nos tienen la vida toda destruida,
They've destroyed our lives,
a mí y a mi familia.
to myself and my family.
Tengo un hijo que no quiero ver por 3 años para que no le pase nada.
I have a son that tiene un hijo que perdón.
Que no he visto por 3 años
That
para
I
que
have-
no le pase nada.
I have a son that I haven't seen in 3 years, so he's under their pressure, so nothing can happen to him.
Al otro que tenía conmigo, ustedes saben y ya les comenté la junta pasada, me lo estuvieron golpeando 3 veces en el 7-Eleven en Cities.
My other son, which I've talked about at the last meeting, was
Hablo con el sargento José Barbers y me dice que no hay ningún reporte cuando nosotros tenemos los números de los casos.
which was severely beaten at a 7-Eleven 3 times.
Entonces
I did
son
talk
policías
to
los que lo golpean,
the
son
sheriff's
cherries.
office, and there is no report that was made. My question is, was it the sheriff's office, a deputy that
¿Quiénes son?
beat him? Who was it?
Ahora, hay muchos casos para que arresten a Amber Rodríguez. ¿Por qué están yendo a pedir información a ella de nosotros?
So there's a lot of cases against Amber Rodriguez. My question is, why is the officers going to her to ask questions about us?
Yo tengo mi récord limpio, yo nunca he estado en la
I have a
cárcel.
clean record. I have never been in jail.
Solamente he sido una víctima en Estados Unidos.
I've only been a victim here in the United States.
El oficial Analis tiene un complaint desde febrero que no puede acercarse a mí, no le importó respetarlo.
Desde abril?
Desde febrero.
Since February, I put a complaint against Officer Alanis that he wasn't supposed to come near me, and he hasn't respected that.
Los oficiales le dijeron que no se acerque a mí, no respetó.
The other officers told him not to come near me, but he did
Yo
not
llamo al
respect that.
911
I called 911
y les explico que él no quiere salir de mi propiedad.
and I explained to them that he did not want to leave
Me
my
dan un
property.
número 209-525-7117.
They gave me an area code number 209-5525
7117.
7187.
7117.
Oh,
Marco varias
7117.
veces.
Sorry. I did call several times.
Aquí tienen ustedes las llamadas. Pueden ver.
I have the reports of the calls.
Llegan dos oficiales que es Navarro y Ruelas.
2 officers did arrive, Officer Navarro and Relas,
A nada, a ver cómo nos abusan.
for nothing, just to see how we were
Okay.
being
Sí.
abused.
El oficial Navarro
Officer Navarro
sí sacó al oficial Análisis de mi propiedad.
was able to remove Officer Alanis from our property
Después de mucho repetirle que se saliera.
after several times asking him to leave.
Pero el oficial Allen
But Officer Allen
golpeó a mi ex esposo, al papá de mi hijo,
beat up my ex-husband, which is my son's
y lo
father,
sacó de adentro de la propiedad
and took him out of our property
cuando él no estaba ni manejando, ya tenía las llaves en su bolsa.
when he wasn't even driving. The keys were in his pocket.
¿Qué están creyendo? ¿Que mi apartamento es un circo y que nosotros somos payasos?
What are we thinking, that my apartment is a circus and we're clowns?
Estaba faltándole respeto a mi hijo con todas sus enfermedades y paralítico, el oficial Análisis.
Officer Alanis was
Mi hijo
being
sufrió
rude to my
tanto
son and making comments about his
que sangró de sus dos partecitas privadas.
he was bleeding from his private parts.
Y no puedo llevarlo al hospital porque han tratado de matarlo y volverlo loco.
And I was not able to take him to the hospital because they have tried to kill him in the past and said he has
¿Qué quieren de
mental
nosotros?
illnesses. What do you need from us? What do you
Quieren
want from
matarnos,
us?
balacenos ahorita que salgamos.
What, do you guys want to shoot us when we
Porque
leave
solamente
this place?
ponen por dar por la espalda.
Because all
como
you
le
do is
dieron a mi
shoot
hijo.
from the back like you did my son.
Es una tristeza ver que alguien
It's very sad to see
que trabaja para la ciudad del condado ha estado pasando por la casa.
that someone that works for the city county passes by my house.
Es una Cadillac SUV.
It's a Cadillac SUV.
Ok. ¿Por qué digo yo si tienen que arrestar y quieren arrestos? ¿Por qué no arrestan a Amber Rodríguez?
So my question is, if you want to arrest someone, why don't you arrest Amber
Ella tiene
Rodriguez?
problemas de salud mental y es bien problemática.
She has mental health issues and is very
Y esa es la que están protegiendo.
and this is who we're protecting.
Ya los dueños, tanto como yo, estamos cansados de ella.
The owners and myself are very tired of her.
Y parece que ustedes le aplauden.
And it seems like we're applauding to this.
Ahora, es una tristeza
Now, it's very sad
que el primer complaint que yo le hice al oficial Análisis, que no lo quiero cerca de mí, todo lo que he hecho en contra de que ustedes vean de las personas que nos atacan, salgan estas cartas. Que no les importa lo que nos pase.
So this is the letter that we received for the first
Okay.
complaint that
Del
we
departamento
did
del Sheriff.
Against Officer Alanis. It seems like we don't care.
Entonces yo quiero todos mis casos en corte y quiero que se miren todos los videos como hemos
We
sido
want all my
abusados por el
cases
departamento del Sheriff.
in court. We want to be able to see the videos so everybody
Aquí sí.
can see
Sí, gusta.
how we were abused by Officer Alanis.
Y quiero que quede bien en claro.
And I
Esta
wanna-
es la última vez que entra el departamento del Sheriff a mi casa. Yo voy a defender mi propiedad como me dijeron los dueños.
Okay, this is the last time that Officer Alanis comes into my property without permission.
Que les aviente tazas
I'm
y es que
just
tengo
letting
que
you
defender a
guys
mis hijos.
know I'm going to defend my children and my family.
Tuve que mandar a mi otro hijo fuera de mi apartamento. Ya nomás tengo el que está paralítico
I had to
conmigo.
send my other son out of the apartment. Now the only one that lives with me is the one that is in a
Ya me
wheelchair.
quedé sin ayudas para moverlo y bañarlo.
Now I don't have help.
Eso es lo que
for
quisiera.
someone, I don't have help of someone to help me bathe or move my son. Is
Quiero
this what you guys want?
todos los nombres de ustedes
I
que han
want all your
escuchado y
guys'
hasta ahorita no
names.
hemos resuelto nada.
I want all of your guys' names. I want something done.
Mi ex esposo, papá de mi hijo y yo sufrimos cada vez que pasamos por el Palerio, baile y baile. Y nosotros sufriendo porque me nos balacearon amigo ahí. Lo
My-
sacaron de adentro del baile para matarlo.
My ex-husband and I, every time we have to pass by Palladium and see people dancing and having fun, have to relive
Fuera uno de sus
that
hijos,
my son was shot.
hasta el dueño
and
del
nothing
Palerio
was
estuviera
done.
arrestado.
If this was one of your children, the person would have been arrested, even the owner would have been arrested.
Ahora, mi ex esposo no tiene licencia por
My
años. ¿Por
ex-husband
qué?
hasn't had a driver's license
Porque
for
hubo
years.
cheques que yo no quise y regresé, no los necesitaba.
Because there was checks I returned because I didn't need them.
Ni del welfare, ni del child support, mas sin embargo,
I never needed
a él estaban
welfare or
cobrando
child
600
support,
y algo.
but he was still being charged 600
Y es
and
por
something.
eso que él no tiene
And
licencia.
that is why he does not have a driver's license.
Porque les interesa mucho el dinero de él cuando a mí como madre no me interesó.
Because it was more of interest for someone to have that money, but I didn't care for it.
Ya basta.
This is enough.
Nos han destruido siempre.
You guys have destroyed me.
Can you let her know that her time, we appreciate it, but
Ya sé.
Muchas
ya estamos
gracias
10
y
minutos.
necesito el nombre de cada uno de
Thank
ustedes,
you.
por favor.
She just needs everybody's
Y
name.
quiero también que el fiscal lleve el caso de mi ex esposo.
She would like the district attorney to also have her husband's case.
okay, we'll let him know, and then also if we can get our contact information, if the clerk recorder can get her there. All right, thank you so much. That's all I have for public comment cards. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak that has not?
Good morning. My name is Bianca Lopez with Valley Improvement Projects. I'm here today to speak and keep the topic of zero waste at the forefront of the conversations. But before I do that, I want to just share that it's very disappointing to hear the story of the family in the back that just came to speak. Knowing that you've taken people by the hand to resolve some of their issues, and yet she still doesn't know who her representative on this board is. That means that none of you reached out to her or attempted to help her with the situation. That is very frustrating and unacceptable. I am shaking. I don't even know how she feels, how the mom and the dad feel. Now I'm getting this story from what I'm hearing here. And I know there's much more to this story, but at the last meeting, she made a serious accusation against the sheriff's department who are dealing drugs in her community. Now she's sharing today that she has officers coming to her home and violating a restraining order from what it sounded like. And then I just want to point out that I'm not sure that your interpreter is a qualified interpreter to be interpreting here. I'd like to see their credentials. This is very upsetting. What are you up to? Like Miss Carol's church was asking their community members, what are you up to? What the fuck is going on in this county? Seriously, that is the sense. I know you don't like cussing, that's fine, but I am very upset at many things. I'm not here today to praise you. I'm sorry, and I've said that many times. I'd like to, and I know that there are many things that there are worth praising, but I'm not here for that. On March 12th, I came to the board supervisors meeting asking for follow-up, to keep me informed, to keep the community informed, to be transparent about your actions. And again, through public records request, I find that you already sent Covanta a response. So y'all made me stand here and look like a dummy, and not one of you said anything like, Ms. Lopez, we actually have responded to Covanta. I'll make sure you get a copy of that letter. What are you up to? Where is this transparency and accountability that you want to be praised for so much? I had to get a public records request in order to find out information that I have been asking for. And I understand these are difficult choices that you have to make, that you actually have to sit down and do a cost analysis. I don't know how many more millions you need to spend on HDR, the consultant you've hired for this purpose already. I don't know how much staff time you need to invest and waste so that you can actually realize that Covanta is telling you they are no longer economically viable. They cannot do business in the state of California. Why are we dragging our feet? Our zero waste plan outlines every single detail that you need to know. We did your job for you. We did Rob and Will's job for you with our own grant money, with our own time and our own desire to make sure that we stop racist and unsustainable practices in our community. We need to stop burning waste. Covanta already said we can't do it unless you allow special waste and increase our tipping fees substantially. And I know you're not interested in increasing rates because you've said that many times. Your staff had said that many times. City council members from across the county have said that many times. So I'm not sure what the delay is or the lack of transparency, especially upon request. You know this issue is important to us, so why do you let me stand here asking for information that you should have already known was submitted? And you should have said, yes, Ms. Lopez, we'll get you that letter. In that letter, you still don't even respond exactly what you are intending to do, except that you mention that you're committed to finding a sustainable path forward for all parties. And that you want to do a cost-benefit analysis that may also guide decision-making. Stop wasting your time, stop wasting our money. What are you up to? If that's not the perception you want to get from community members, then you need to do differently. Ya basta.
Any other members of the public would like to comment? Miguel?
Mr. Chairman, the lady that spoke before us, the 12th of March, in regard to the complaint of the Sheriff Department, today the Sheriff Department is supposed to be here to respond to her issue. Now a husband come here and suffer the humiliation and distress, being harassment by the Sheriff Department. And still nobody from the Sheriff Department here. So the question is like, Bianca and somebody else said, what you really doing? This is only to come to speak to you because you cannot answer to us because according to the mandate, you cannot say nothing except if the chair allow to present something else. So really what is happening here is only one street conversation from the committee to you guys because you don't have the answer. So the answer to me is to bring somebody from the Sheriff Department and for that family to be here and to respond openly what really is happening. Because to me, it's a lot of discrimination openly, and the county council is here and not take note, just listen to the tape or listen to what the family is coming to say, but no action. So the question is, are we paying you salary for free? Are you represent us for free? Are you being paid? Because we're supposed to be your boss. You're supposed to working for us, not against us. You're supposed to respond to our mandate or request like this family crying, not only crying, but put herself in the humiliation to be in front of you. Very few families can do that. It's a lot of families that's happening, but you cannot have the guts to come and confront you or say to you in front. So that family doing it for the first time to expose how the corruption of the sheriff department is for years and not respond. So somebody has to respond. And I think that family can have an attorney to sue the sheriff department for what happened to the family. Because what happened to the Palin issue was a big issue because the owners had the security to take the person out and that person was shot. So that's a court of mandate from the police department. I hope there was the police department. But now we have the case of the family of the sheriff department. The sheriff department in the 12th of March, the family come and expose you guys, and now we still not respond. So I hope, Mr. Chairman, that you direct the county council or Mr. Hayes to bring the sheriff department next time to respond the accusation. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other members of the public wanting to comment? All right, seeing none, I'm going to bring items back. We do have one written public comment for item 6B13. So I want to make sure that's noted on the record. And then any items on consent that any members of the public or the board would like to pull.
6B8, please.
All right, any other items? Seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to the board for a possible motion excluding item 6B8 so we could have further discussion.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion from Supervisor Buck-Condit and second from Supervisor Withrow. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Item 6B8, if we can, any questions that you have on this, Supervisor Chance-Condit?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. 6B8 is concerning the investment of American Rescue Plan Act funding for the provisions of navigation and case management services in support of the Farm Worker Resources Center. This contractor is CVOC. Just going over the numbers, these are fantastic numbers as far as job training to legal services to rental assistance. So I applaud. They've serviced over 1,000 individuals. I would just have, I guess, further clarification on these numbers, though, and I thank Mr. Donava for being here today. In regards to, I guess, what is the end result of these individuals? Are they being placed into jobs, and what is that success rate? I see that we have job placement assistance. Again, what sector are these individuals being placed in? Job referrals, what sector are we referring these individuals in? So I guess I would just want to see a little bit more specific details on the success rate and the end results of these programs. I'm sure that they're ongoing, and but that is just kind of some of the questions I would have further. But again, 1,000 individuals, this is great. I know I've attended a few of the farmer resource fairs that they've been having in various communities and primarily out in my district. I know I went out to the one in Grayson as well as the one in Patterson, and it was fantastic. A lot of individuals being out. And then I guess further clarification is how are they identifying individuals who are in the farm working industry? I mean, is there a proof of identification, or is this an open service to everyone in the community? I guess what is the criteria? I guess I would need more clarification on that and how they are directing these folks, these individuals, into these programs. But again, Mr. Donava, CVOC, 1,000 individuals, great numbers, great job on the fairs. Look forward to attending more in the future. So thank you.
So just for clarification, would you like staff or Mr. Donava to come up and start to speak to some of your comments today?
If he's prepared, I don't want to put him on the spot, but if you're prepared, sir, you're more than welcome to. That'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, remind me, where would you like me to start?
Oh, sure. No worries.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Donava, again, Great numbers,
Thank you.
fantastic, great job on the fairs and things like that. Have been great attending. Pretty much, I would like to see it. I don't know that you could put together something comprehensive today in this moment, but I would like to see where these folks are ending up. What sectors? For instance, the job referral program. What sector are we referring them into? Have folks been able to start a new career, I guess?
Yes, and to answer the question completely, all of those answers to your specific questions, those are actually going to be presented tomorrow evening.
Okay.
Tomorrow
virtually.
evening. Yeah, I will answer your question today, but just I'll take the opportunity
Yes.
now. Tomorrow evening is the Farm Worker Resource Center and the Stand 2030 Farm Worker section quarterly report out tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. And all that link and that information is available on the CVOC website, also at the county website. To answer your question today, though, the majority of the folks that have changed their careers, the program is doing it one of two ways. One is upskilling them back into the agricultural industry. So we had one cohort of farm workers that went through forklift certification training. Their goal there was to get out of the job where they're actually touching the product, picking, cutting, sorting the agricultural product, and instead they're upskilling or improving their employment opportunity by going into the warehouse, and now they're driving the forklift at a much higher salary than picking fruits and vegetables, right? So that's one way. The second way is we've had folks completely change their industry. Some folks that went through the program have gone into achieving their their commercial driver's license through the state of California. Now they're driving truck. We've also had a couple graduates through our welding program, and they're in search of opportunities in the welding and industrial maintenance and manufacturing fields, which is, we're in the prime area. I don't need to tell you that. We're in the prime area for that industry as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine you're working very closely with workforce development to identify these companies and filling those gaps for employment with these individuals.
Not only workforce development, but CSA has been
Okay.
very helpful, and also the Stand 2030 consortium as well.
Okay. Wonderful. And then, for instance, legal services, employment rights, labor rights, 305 individuals.
Yeah.
That's an outstanding number.
Yeah,
I
thank you,
mean,
sir.
Also with the rental assistance, for example, are we ushering them through the process? We're not just handing folks off. We are seeing them through that process, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the program is designed twofold. The number 1,000 that you see there is services delivered. In addition, the individuals are obviously is a different number than that because we're serving households. We are providing not only the referral and the information, but also the direct service. And I think the supportive service expenditures to date is nearly $200,000.
Got it. I would just imagine, and again, services delivered, that's awesome. I would just imagine, obviously, something as complicated as legal services, that's probably an ongoing open case issue.
Correct.
So I would just imagine we would see them through the entirety of that process.
Correct. In
Okay.
addition, we also have partners that are...
And I know we have the virtual meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
But in regards to the identification of farm workers, how are we identifying these individuals, or can anyone from the community come up and try to get into these programs? If you could speak to that.
Sure, both ways actually. The program itself, when it was funded by this board, it had a very liberal eligibility as far as identifying as a farm worker from Stanislaus County. One way that a farm worker could qualify, just last Saturday, March 23rd, we had a farm worker resource fair in Supervisor Chies's district in Houston, and we had 188 farm workers arrive and sign in and self-attest that they were farm workers. My staff then follows up with those 188 this week. In addition, we have ongoing marketing and recruitment outreach canvassing efforts to recruit farm workers to let them know of the services that they're available for. We always tell folks in the community that let us do the hard parts, which is the eligibility part of it. We will make sure that folks get routed to a program that they qualify for and that they can receive services from. So our goal is more of an overarching recruitment. If you're working in ag, give us a call. Let us know what your challenges or your barriers are, and we probably have something that can help you become self-sufficient. Right?
It just might not be specific to this exact program, but you have somewhere else where they can.
It's such a well-designed program. I'm not going to brag. The county and CVOC did a great job. It's a very well-designed program that chances are that FRC or the 2030 program will be able to help them.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for providing clarification, Dave. Best of luck on the virtual meeting tomorrow, and I look forward to attending future farm worker resource events. So thank you again.
Thank you, Supervisor, for the support. I appreciate it.
Mr. Donava, the organization on Saturday was unbelievable. The self-attestation they were doing, talking with the folks at the beginning, trying to put them in essentially buckets, right, to find out where they're working. I thought it was pretty smooth, and it's always nice to have some fantastic tacos for free. So
I'm glad we were able
it
to
was
be in
very
your
nice.
district. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Janab. I appreciate you answering all the questions. If there are no further questions, and then if I can open it up to the public for any further questions or comments.
Thank you, sir. Number one, Mr. Chairman, the report that we have is not in Spanish, so I'm again to you Executive Order 13166 and not being in place. I don't know, the county council is still working on that or going to work. But every time that you have report from the ARPA or any federal state funding, I'm going to come here and remind you that you're not accomplished the executive order mandate and you have violation. We already did a complaint to the Department of Justice Department in Washington, D.C., 3 complaints. So you're going to receive pretty soon the answer from the Department of Civil Rights against you guys because you are not doing the job they're supposed to do in regard to Executive Order 166, limiting English professors. And the proof of that is this morning, the report is in English again. And I know that's the language, but at the same time, under the ARPA funds, executive orders have to be applied for that, and you're not doing that. The second part that I want to speak about this, I remember Mr. Woodrow said, why not we have an advisory committee to have the CBOC? You remember that, Mr. Trump? And that's another issue that is not being placed. Mr. Nava is here, and I don't know if he's going to accept that or no, but I think that's your recommendation, that we very grateful that you can accomplish and talk to Mr. Nava to have an advisory council for these 2 programs that you have support. The other issue is, if you see the report under job apprenticeship, is only 1 person apply for that. And that's supposed to have more apprenticeship. It's only 1 person. The second is the workforce innovation opportunity is supposed to be from the Department of Labor. And here's the number 73. It's not supposed to be that. That's another program. That's from the Department of Labor. They help this agency to receive money. So I don't know why this report is here. It's not supposed to be here. Because that's from the Department of Labor for the training of the farm workers. Is a different funding and different program. And the last part is the child. Under 2030 report say the child care program is the #1 problem for the low-income family and farm workers. And yet, you see in the bottom line, only 2 persons apply for the child care. So that contradicts the report of 2030, this #1 issue is the child care. So it's very confusing to that report that's not applying. And I commend Mr. Chen Candy for asking this question in regard who really is the farm workers that are being served. In any signification, in any way to go to CBOC in asking for that program, and you go to the we call it the email to qualify for this program. The program is in English. They qualify to qualify. Can you believe the CBOC put in English the response for you to go to the EDD office or any is in English. So how the Spanish-speaking farm worker can apply for that? So that's another contradiction, and you have to be aware the problem that's happening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Miguel. Any other members of the community wanting to comment on this item?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a comment. I have a request for more precise information about tomorrow's quarterly report at 6 p.m. If I can get that information. And then I want to request that that presentation be bilingual and allow for interpretation and for the slides to be translated in Spanish as they were not. So at the first farm worker roundtable report, and I'd also have the same concerns on these numbers. They seem duplicates, but it's not very clear on this report if that is correct. And then I know that the Grayson event was very successful, that you had hundreds, if not 1,000 folks in attend. I'm also curious how many people are actually farm workers that we're serving, and I don't think you answered the question that was posed of can other regular members, non-farm workers, obtain these resources? Because I know that the Grayson event was successful, and not just because of tacos, but because there are really important resources being shared with the community members that not just farm workers need. So it is good to see that they were receiving the information, but are they actual farm workers? Because that is the target. And I want to make sure that we are actually providing these resources for farm workers. Thank you. And where can I get that information on tomorrow's presentation?
You can connect with Jorge. He can give you the...
I'm sorry?
Or if you have it. Yeah, Jorge de Nava.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. All right, any other members of the public?
Debbie Martinez, I just have one comment to make, and that would go to Mr. Chance Condit. I really appreciate your voice for the disadvantaged population in this community. Your voice goes a long way for us. I would only wish and pray that 1, 2, 3, 4 can rise to that same occasion. I will come up and praise you. I love Bianca, but we need a balance. Good cop, bad cop, I'll be the good cop this time. So we need more Chance Condits on this board, especially when our disadvantaged population is falling to the cracks. It's so sad when we can only come up and praise one voice when there's so many other voices on this board. I don't mean to put you on the spot, Mio, but give credit where credit is due.
I appreciate that, but it's a team effort.
I know,
I
it
can't. I
is.
share credit with all of you and with my colleagues.
I get it. It's you that I have to call every single time. And I thank you for that.
Right. Thank you. All right, if there's no further public comment, I'd like to bring this item back for a possible motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Supervisor Chance-Con and second by Supervisor Chiesa. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, next we are moving on to public hearings. The first public hearing to consider approval of the recommended capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2024 through 2028. And the presentation will be conducted by Andy Johnson with the General Services Agency. And Patrice Dietrich from the CEO's office.
I actually asked to introduce the team because I am actually so happy to be here today on this topic. So we'll just jump right in. You've had a long meeting already. The capital projects team and the staff who've worked specifically on the CIP includes Andy Johnson, Jason Roberts, and Teresa Vanderveen, and I really, really want to thank them. This has been a long, long road to get this document before you, and as well, Dave Lehman, our fabulous Public Works Director, and his team are right there. And they contributed greatly to the CIP this year, and we also relied on department heads and their staff teams. The capital improvement plan is actually a super critical element for our county government leadership. It's a strategic plan, and it provides us with the prioritization for all of the space, building, and facility needs that our 26 departments are identifying are needed to serve the community and make sure that we can ensure access and safety and security for our customers and our employees. We've had a gap since our last CIP. The last one was completed in 2019, and it was for the 2-year period, 18-19 and ending 19-20. During those 4 years, you'll recall, the organization was greatly focused on COVID pandemic response and recovery. There were impacts to supply chain, and in spite of that, our capital projects team continued to work forward on projects, accommodating as we could with the staff and resources that were available. And so during that time, the focus was on libraries, actually, the Turlock Library, the Empire Library, a lot of large repair maintenance projects on our aging facilities, including several at the Sheriff's Operations Center, and then updated projects, including Oregon and Burbank parks. More recently, the ARPA funding, which we've been focusing on of late, and your board's investment in building community services infrastructure, benefiting parks and libraries and county facilities, really gave us an infusion of resources, and the team decided and realized that we needed a whole new approach. We're not a small county, we're actually a pretty big county, and our needs are great, and bringing all of those needs together and trying to gather them, document them, and prioritize them required that new approach. So the team is going to talk to you about what that approach is and share the plan with you. It's important to note that we received $350 million in facility requests alone. $350 million, not counting public works, roads, bridges, the really big items. So how we approach that plan and how we move forward with it, I always, balance is one of my favorite words. Balance is critical with this. So the plan has been restructured, it's revitalized, it aligns with Government Finance Officers Association best practices. It is a partnership between GSA and Public Works, holding tight to your board's policies and priorities. And for me, what I appreciate the most is that going forward, there will be much more transparency in the process. It will be easier for departments to identify their needs, to understand where their needs are in the queue, what the next steps are for them to get their needs moved up, how we can assist with funding and financing gaps. It will also align more closely those capital decisions as they move forward. We're going to be aligning more closely with our long-range model impacts and looking to the eventual potential operational budget impacts that come from those as well. So the plan will be updated annually. So each year you'll get an update on what's changing in the plan and what has been completed. And again, thanks for hanging in there today with us, because this was my exciting topic. So for the team.
Good morning. What a great day in Stanislaus County as we've celebrated Heritage Months and Tamara Thomas's retirement and Amy Carroll's award. Tough acts to follow. My name is Andy Johnson. It's always strange to see Andrew. I think my mom's mad at me. We're here to talk about the capital improvement plan, and Patrice and her leadership, we really want to thank her. We came to the CO's office a couple years ago, and we had a 325-page capital improvement plan that asked departments to envision everything they could think about for the next 20 years. And we said, this doesn't help us plan our work. We were inundated with requests that the departments needed, and they gave us the go-ahead to move forward. So thank you to the CO's office, the Board of Supervisors. We also want to thank all the departments who participated. Particularly our friends in Public Works, as what we're going to talk about in GSA is a change in our process. But this is really a partnership between their good works, and Dave likes to tease me that his county corridor project rivals all of the projects that GSA has in one. And so thank you for your patience as we go forward in this, and we'll turn the second half of the presentation over to them. So we like to start with two things: what a capital improvement plan is, and maybe equally important is what it is not. It is simply that. It is a planning tool that identifies projects for consideration. It gives an opportunity to see when they may start and when they may end. We talk about proposed methods of financing and possible costs. We like to refer to those as rough order of magnitudes and what those might look like if projects are taken on in future years. What a capital improvement plan is not. Nothing we're going to say today is approval to proceed with any one specific project. It does also not improve any of the required plans and specifications for projects or funding. Go to the next one. It's well documented that I'm a football fan. I won't tell you which team, but Tom Landry once said, "Setting a goal is not the main thing. It is deciding how you will go about achieving it and stay within that plan." And so that's what we think we've done as we move to a 5-year plan from a 20-year plan. All of the tables in your book will see how they're broken down, and Teresa and Jason will talk about the methodology as we move forward. I did want to mention that since, and Patrice hit a few of the highlights, since 2020 when we were last here, work did not stop. Many of the good works happening have come forward, and they've come through the board agenda process. We have a major renovation of the Modesto Library. We've initiated design for the Bonita Pool and Leroy Fitzsimmons project, which we received grant funding from Senator Carrillo's office through Chance Condit's office. We have many things happening at the Sheriff's Operations Center. Much more of those are maintenance. When I first came to the county, we focused on big jail expansions. We are replacing all the air conditioning within the Operations Center. We have done refrigerators. We have done commercial kitchens. We're currently in design on state-mandated recreation yards, and what might be my only favorite project, or my favorite project, is the sewer expansion project out at the Public Safety Center. We are really excited about that, and we may be the only one. Probation, there are lots of things happening at that campus as it was built in the 1970s. We are remodeling the juvenile justice courtroom, and we are replacing all the secure electronics. And then all 3 of the departments fortunate enough to receive building community strategic investment funds are initiating and completing projects on the board strategy. With that, real quickly, what is a capital improvement definition? It's anything that's over $200,000 that changes the use of the space, extends the life of the facility, or alters the use of the space. This is important because we received numerous projects, which are in the last appendix in your book, that we consider routine construction. Those are good projects as well. They've been transferred. In Jason's role as the CIP manager, he will also lead those. Those could be security enhancements to counters. They could be ADA projects, and we will tackle those as well. With that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Teresa Vanderveen and Jason Robbins, who will walk through the methodology that we used, as well as give statistics on how they're funded by board priority.
As Andy mentioned, this is a collaboration between Public Works and GSA. So you'll hear us talking about facilities and infrastructures, and GSA is responsible for those facilities, or vertical construction, we sometimes call it, and Public Works will speak to the infrastructure or the horizontal roads, bridges. We're going to go through quickly the process and evaluation of those facility projects to get into the CIP, and Public Works will go through their process a little later in the presentation. So the start of the process is GSA encourages departments to create master or strategic plans to look at their business needs for the long term, for the future, and evaluate from empirical data what those needs are going to be, and from that master plan submit projects into the CIP portal that is currently open. From that, GSA reviews those projects for content and consistency. The CIP manager, who is Jason sitting next to me, will examine those projects and make sure that the scope is clear, that the need is identified and clear, that the cost associated that is reasonable as far as can be seen by the very rough scope that may have been submitted. The CIP manager also checks to make sure that those projects meet the definition of a capital improvement, and if they do not, then they are funneled into that routine construction list that Andy mentioned that is on page 39 and 40 of your book, the CIP book. About 13 of those were funneled that direction this year. They're good projects that will continue to be picked up as resources and funding allow, but do not need to be in this CIP process. Once the GSA CIP manager has reviewed all those projects, they go to the CIP committee. The CIP committee is made up of one member from each board priority, and they are acknowledged by name on page 41. That team had the task of reviewing 65 projects, and it was a giant binder. So we appreciate their work in evaluating each of the projects and ranking them based on need. After the CIP committee prioritized all those projects, we came before the CEO senior leadership to ask them to review those priorities and the policy decisions that may need to be made moving those projects forward. Board briefings were conducted before the book went to the Planning Commission. It is a requirement for the Planning Commission to review any capital improvement plan, to review for consistency with the county's general plan, and I'm pleased to announce on February 15, the CIP was found consistent and in conformance with the general plan. The letter affecting that is in the front of the book. And today, we're before the board for recommending your adoption of the CIP. There are several evaluation factors for the projects, and the most high-valued point factor is critical need, whether the project has a health, safety, emergency need or is mandated by a law. That gets 30 points. We want those projects to bubble up to the top to be accomplished early on. The second criteria is the board strategy. As Andy spoke, the Building Community Services Investment Fund. We want those projects that the board has asked us to complete within 3 years to enhance libraries and parks and restore county facilities. We want those to be accomplished in 3-year periods. Those got 22 points. For master planning, there was up to 15 points available. If there was external funding given towards the projects, we wanted those projects to also bubble up and to be fiscally responsible. We also looked at the budget impact, and that's the operating impact that each project may have on the future county budget. And finally, the customer service benefit the project provided for a total of 100 points. And those projects were then put into priority levels, imperative through important. GSA will attempt to do the imperative tier first, but there are many factors that come into picking up project, including whether funding is available, whether the project is ready to proceed. We may jump around in those categories. This evaluation criteria will be addressed as the board strategy concludes, and we'll bring that forward to you in future years. We've already mentioned that the CIP, we've completed projects since the last CIP. We've got some beautiful pictures up here of the Turlock Library expansion up on top, the Oregon and Burbank Parks in the middle, and the new Empire Library on the bottom. There is a full list of projects on pages 6 and 7 in your book. As Andy mentioned, we've done a lot of restorations to HVAC and roofs, and the Public Safety Center got a major improvement to security electronics, which was needed in those 30-year-old buildings. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jason Roberts, the CIP manager, to go more detail of the projects in the capital improvement plan.
Good morning. Following Andy's mention of football, I am also a fan, but I am a fan of the Cincinnati Bengals. Unfortunately, there's no confirmed inspirational speeches by coaches, owners, players, or even any fans, so I can't lead with that. So thanks, Andy. Appreciate that. So it's a pleasure to be here before you this morning to present the prioritized workable plan that meets the goals of the county over the next 5 years. Included in this plan are 141 projects with an estimated total value of $1.16 billion. Of those, 94 infrastructure improvement projects are estimated $986 million, and those are from Public Works. The remaining 47 projects for facility capital improvement total $175 million and are led by GSA. This capital improvement plan is a long-range plan projection, and it's consistent with the board's priorities of delivering an efficient public services and enhancing community infrastructure. The following chart depicts a combined estimated cost of the 5-year plan for all infrastructure and facility capital improvement projects. The dominant area, which you can tell in the dark green, include the 94 infrastructure projects led by Public Works, and that falls under the Enhancing Community Infrastructure priority. The remaining 47 projects make up the rest of the chart, and they make up the board's priority and are detailed on the next slide to cover the work by GSA, only. Okay. So, as shown on this chart, the total cost, I'm making sure I'm on the right one, the total cost of the projects by lead department.
You want to move forward?
I'm on the wrong one. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. I got it. So, as mentioned, the chart is the value of the remaining 47 capital improvement projects by priority. Each priority is made up of departments, projects, as submitted at the time. And it shows the values, oh, my apologies. It shows the values shown on the chart, sorry. HSA is one such project, identified in the plan with a combined demolition cost makes up $68.5 million of the supporting health and community area on the chart. Staff are collaborating to look at the options for this project to see about possibly reducing those costs. Sorry, next slide. As shown on this chart of the cost of projects by lead department, these includes GSA at $27.5 million, and those projects cover facility improvements, mostly at the multi-tenant facilities, such as the 12th Street Garage, 801 11th Street, and our community center buildings. Next, there's other departments that include large campuses within the county, such as Public Safety Center. Those will include the Sheriff's Office, and with a value of nearly $20 million, and probation at $13 million in requested projects. The facility projects for potential funding sources. This chart depicts potential funding for 47 proposed capital facility projects. Each department, when submitting, must identify the potential funding sources. The proposed CIP does include 17 projects using the Building Community Services Investment Spend Down Plan, or BCSI. These BCSI funds were established by the Board of Supervisors to provide departments such as the library and parks to restore or enhance their properties. Also included are 30 projects in construction, design, or planning with a high critical need. They also include 66% of external funding and are identified as an immediate need on a department's master plan, and those include facility plan and 10th Street Place JPA. Next, that concludes my portion. Next, I'd like to introduce Dave Lehman, the Public Works Director, to do his part.
Good morning, Chair Graywall, Board of Supervisors, CEO Hayes, Council Bose. Dave Lehman, Stanislaus County Public Works Director. Next slide. The Public Works CIP process is part of the third leg of an important trio, which is the Regional Transportation Improvement Program, the Federal Transportation Improvement Program, and then the County CIP. The RTIP is prepared by the Stanislaus County Council of Governments, our regional RTPA, Regional Transportation Planning Agency. The RTIP is a 5-year program. It includes all 9 municipalities and the county. It identifies regional priorities. It addresses congestion, improves connectivity, and promotes sustainable transportation options. Next slide. It also fits, all of those two, also fits into our FTIP, the Federal Transportation Improvement Program, and that's prepared again by STANCOG, our Metropolitan Planning Agency. And it's a 4-year program of all service transportation projects that will receive federal funding or are subject to a federally required action. It establishes policies, allocates funding, and supports state and regional initiatives. Next slide. And so you can see they all fit together. The county CIP aligns with both regional and federal transportation programs by translating their priorities into actionable projects. Next slide. And so we have a total of $985,520,700 worth of projects if you add up everything. And the biggest funding source that's secured is the Highway Bridge Program. That's 88.5% federal funding for our bridge projects. Just to remind the board, we have the second oldest collection of bridges in the state. Only Butte County on average has older bridges than Stanislaus County. We have about 90 100-year-old bridges, and we're getting another one from Caltrans when they relinquish SR 132 to us. It was built in 1919. Very nice for us. Any rate, PFF is a key part of this, and ARPA and Measure L, our half-cent sales tax measure. Next slide. And so here's what's been on my mind. I call this the big ones. NCC, $180 million, and that should be under construction in 25 to 28. 7th Street Bridge, construct 4-lane replacement bridge, $95 million. So that's from 26 to 28. That is 88.5% funded by the feds. Modesto has their match. County has our match. We're good on 7th Street Bridge. Faith Home Road Bridge, we're going to ask for $10 million from Stancog. It's a regional project to advance the plans and the right-of-way phase. We have the ARPA projects, which we talk about quite often. $58.5 million have been allocated to the ARPA projects. Crow's Landing Industrial Business Park, $43 million. Hills Ferry Road Bridge, the safety replacement project, $28 million. That's also 88.5%. And that's an important project to that neighborhood for sure. And then Crabtree, Timbell, and Kilburn, all projects we've been working on for quite a while, $36.8 million for a total of $450.8 million worth of projects between 24 to 28. Public Works is going to be busy. And that's all I have.
That concludes our presentation to you today. We just recommend that the board review and approve the recommended capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2024 to 2028. And we're open to any questions and comments that you may have.
Thank you so much for everybody that was involved in the presentation. Really appreciate it. Questions from members of the board?
So mine probably isn't a question more than a comment. That Public Works, obviously our roads and bridges are the largest asset in the county, and we're making a little headway on our roads, but bridges were, I think if we get a couple of bridges done a year, and if we're really lucky we did 2 or 3 of them, it's still on a 70 or 80-year cycle, which is above their life expectancy. And so we're essentially working on borrowed time at this point, and you see that the vast majority of the projects are through the Public Works Department. Measure L has been a godsend for paving, especially amongst the cities. But the difficulty, I was just trying to figure out, I think we've collected about $347 million as of 2 months ago. And of that, 65% goes to the jurisdictions directly related to paving and or remanufacturing roads. And Dave, you're going to tell me we got 1,500 miles of roads, more or less, right? And so our chip seal program, which is not remanufacturing roads, it's about trying to keep them from degrading any longer. And there's an expectation we're going to touch each road 3 times in the 25 years of Measure L. And those are maintenance efforts. It's really the reconstructions that we need, but they're so expensive. Cost of construction index. Bridges, very difficult by the time you do, in some cases, NEPA and CEQA, and it's very difficult, and it's daunting because the other projects, when we talk about internally with our capital facility fees and building a new public health building, I see progress. I think we're really making progress. Putting new roofs on, air conditioning units, things that have been deferred maintenance. I just want the public to understand the daunting task on the public works side, which is what we receive a ton of complaints on. And I hope we don't end up with an accident on 7th Street or on Highway 99 when people have to divert to 7th Street. There's 16,000, 17,000 cars a day that go across that bridge. And we don't think it's that important until you drive it and you realize how much traffic is on there. So anyways, this is a great start. I appreciate it because this is like it seems like there's been a much more concerted effort on the capital improvement plan. And I applaud all of you for the work you're doing.
Thank you. Any other members of the board?
Yeah, just quick things. Thank you guys for all your work on this. I know it's a ton of work, and so Andy, Jason, Teresa, and Dave, thank you guys very much, and everybody else, Patrice, for this. Just a couple things that I want to continue to kind of harp on that I'm with regard to all the public work stuff arose, and we heard from our transportation guy Vito down everything that he does, and this is his area that we know and appreciate all that. No problem at all with any of the public work stuff, of course, a ton. But back to kind of the capital improvements with regard to buildings and us doing buildings, buying more buildings or replacing buildings, and I still have a hard time with this. I tried to run the numbers here real quick. In my mind, government shouldn't really own structures. There's certain things that are definitely, public safety, libraries, things that are no-brainers that government's got to have those facilities, build them, own them. But I just don't think we should be in the business of owning other properties with regard to office space and things like that. And I think that should be in the private sector, and we should be renting. We've talked about here, as I look through our completed project list since the last capital improvement projects, I can see about almost $8 million worth of repairs, and these are not repairs on public safety libraries. I just went through and tried to go through quickly and see the costs that the county's incurred since this last list came out. About $8 million we spent on just trying to maintain and repair the facilities that we own. That's a ton of money that we could be directing in other areas. And I know that it's all going to be built into a lease somehow, but this is a lot of upfront capital costs that we have to incur or throughout the life of us owning these buildings that could be avoided, could be left to the landlord to do. Again, you can argue with regard to that's built into the lease and what we incur, but I would make the argument that this is a cost that we could be using in other areas in our community, and we just don't need to be in the business of certain types of properties, like I said, especially office type of properties, that we should be releasing those from again, I know I'm a broken record here, but I'm going to continue to push this. Then the other thing that I just want to make sure of, and parks is another thing that we, of course, we need to maintain and do, and I'm very proud of the work we've done just on those areas. But when I look at what we're proposing here, and our number one here is the new HSA building, $58 million we have here, and it's $10 million to demolish that. I am, again, I know this is just a plan, but I feel like this furthers it along by having it as a part of our capital improvement project. I know these are just things we want to work on, but I don't see in there or looking for a facility to lease, which would save us the $58 million. And we know it's going to be probably twice that, just the way construction things are going right now. So anyway, I don't know. Andy, sorry, I'm going to let you address.
No, not at all. Thank you for your question. And let's talk real briefly about the HSA project. All of our projects, Teresa, I think were submitted last August. And so it is included in the plan. It was ranked high. We are looking at alternatives for that facility. We're working with HSA on their business model. There were a couple of items brought to the board today. Right now, we have a draft RFP in place for a potential lease facility. The board gave us a position for a real estate property manager. He's working in conjunction with Mary Ann's team. Our plan is to get that out this year, throw it out in the community, see what's available for leasing. We're seeing a lot more leases. BHRS has leased multiple properties for their administration as they've kind of decentralized off County Center 2. We're also working on a plan to move forward with the demolition of those old buildings. And so when those old buildings come down, hopefully that will lessen the maintenance cost for them. Though they're sparsely occupied right now, we're still paying for the boilers, the air conditioners, and everything that you just mentioned. And so we are looking with all departments as we move forward about that as an option.
So by us approving this capital improvements plan and having this as our number one, on there's a tier 1 project, doesn't that seem like we're going to plan to move forward with this, and this board and future boards are going to be working towards that happening? I don't understand how we have this on here when we haven't made that decision.
Yeah, not necessarily. Again, it's in the plan because it was submitted and it was scored and it was received those criteria. The plan, the beautiful thing about it is it's a 5-year plan and departments will have the opportunity to resubmit every year. And so, yes, it is the #1 project listed. It met the criteria at the time. It doesn't mean that it's going to come to fruition. Any conversation about moving any of these projects forward would have to come to this board for discussion prior to approval. And so literally, I think it was end of March, Jason reopened the portal to departments, and we anticipate that we'll see changes, including in this project, as we move forward.
Okay. I'm just, Jody, sorry, I'm looking at you. Just tell me that this is not, doesn't mean this is
I'm
going
going to ask Patrice to address your questions.
Good, thank you.
Supervisor, I actually had the same pausing moment myself. So as Andy was pointing out, everything with the CIP is point in time. So it was the projects that had come in at the time, and the need for space is what is pushing the HSA Public Health building to the top. The site that they lived in is no longer viable for them, and they're currently in a lease, actually a couple of leased sites, one of which was temporary, definitely over on County Center 3. So we know that we need a space solution. And I'm excited about the RFP that Andy mentioned, working closely with Marianne and her team in our office, where our plans are to move forward and come up with the best model of what a leased solution would look like, and the best model of what a build solution might look like, and then come share it with the board and get your policy direction on what you'd like to see us proceed with. So that's the plan for that. And in the next iteration of the CIP, it'll have whatever is the update on that. Does that
Okay,
make sense?
so that's great. So, yeah, so I'd just like us to be very much a part of any, thoughts that are going as this moves forward, any costs that are being incurred as this goes forward. And in addition, just the demolition of the facility. I mean, what would it look like if we just walked from this facility and put this out and let somebody take it over and somebody else demolish it at probably a quarter of the cost of what it would cost for us to do it with prevailing wage and everything. I just would like to have that as an option too. If we were to just not have to spend $10 million to tear it down, what if we put it out as surplus property and somebody else came in and decided they wanted to do something with it, and they could do the demolition and it would be off of our back and costs. So
Okay, so I appreciate too the clarification that you gave when you were initially talking. I was taking notes about where there are core county services for which we know that our space needs to be county-owned space. Some of them pop out, obviously, like for example, the Public Safety Center. These are core county spaces that we need to maintain, and then we do operate a number of programs that are important and mandated, and directed often by federal and state revenue sources, where there are revenue streams that could also help to pay for those spaces. So part of future iterations of the CIP will be looking at those options, and we'll be exploring with your board your directions on, where and how we're utilizing the existing county-owned space. So County Center 2 is owned space. We have done some reporting to the board and the public in the past about the options for that site, and anything to move forward with demolition or any other next steps would be coming to your board for approval. So we'll take your advice on that and include that in
Good.
future reports.
And if we could be kept involved early on, not just when it comes to the board, as you guys are moving forward with different things, I'd like to just be a part of that and let the board be a part of that before we incur a whole bunch of cost on something that we might not end up going forward with. So, okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Right, any other questions? Right, taking it to the public for any questions they may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Somebody forget this? Oh, you want me? Yeah, right, yeah. $10 for the gas. I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman, number one, this document is not in Spanish, and you receive federal and state funds. So under the letter that I give it to you, I consult on the Executive Order 1 13166, and the Temile Alatorre Bilingual Service Act, if you receive state funds. So, and that is not the reporting that we need. If the community, we are half of the population of the county is Mexican, American, Latinos. At the same time, under the monolingual population, we have 38.9 people that don't speak English at all. So that implies the state under federal guidelines say 5% of the population has to receive the information they need and have access to information. That way they can participate and be part of the community. And that's not happening, Mr. Chairman, especially under Executive Order 13166 and the Temile Alatorre Bilingual Service Act. So I'm continue to pushing for that. At the same time, we already did the complaint, like I say in my letter, to the office of the Civil Rights Office Division in Washington, D.C., and pretty soon maybe you're going to receive a letter from these guys. So under this meeting, we're going to complain again to the Office of Civil Rights and the federal and the state. We're going to make the complaint because we feel that's the only way that you're going to react to us. The only way you're going to continue and wait for Mr. County Council, I don't know, is preparing or not preparing or waiting for the blessing from Mr. Hayes to give it the okay. So I don't know what is the process, but I'm assuming that in April that you can come out with the policy in regard to 13166 and how is the county going to address that. The other point, Mr. Chairman, is in that report is not saying specific what the fund is coming from. In each report, programs that you have there from the GCA and the public work, it does say specific what the funds coming from, a federal, state, or local funds. So that's another issue that's not in the report. In the report before, 2 years ago, is different, and that in each section say to you what fund is coming from to the local, state, and federal funds, and not in this report don't have that. The second part is why not the workforce development and public work together, and Mr. David Lehman, to have the workforce they want to be trained to have job. Why not the guys be employed? Why not we do that? It's very confusing. You preparing people from CBOC or different workforce development to have jobs. Why not connected to public work and the G services to hire the apprenticeship of person that want to have a job? That way you can move up to the ladder where you are. It does not happening. Santa Clara County many years ago did that. Every program that you guys have, 10% has to be employed by local union or apprenticeship person to do the job. You don't have that policy here. And we recommend very strongly that you support to that policy. That way when the public work receive federal and state money, 10% of the workers supposed to be locally, at the same time apprenticeship to continue to grow the economic. You not have that. You don't have the forced work development to be part of the public work of this GC, to be training and to receive the apprenticeship to the future of that person. So you don't have that. Santa Clara County many years ago did that. Every program the guy received, 10% had to be local employees and trainees in the apprenticeship to be hired. That way, when you go to do the job, you hire people locally, you know, bring somebody else. Like the majority of these contracts, I don't know what's coming from, but and not employing our community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Miguel. Okay, any other members of the public?
I also would like to request, as Mr. Donoso has, detailed specifically on where the funding is coming from these projects, as it is not listed on this report. Then I had a question about the Crow's Landing Business Park. It does have a year of 2024-26. Has that project already been approved by the board, or this is just a wish list? And then this $43 million, you know, where is that money coming from? We know that by holding town hall meetings in the town of Crow's Landing, we know that people's pipes are busting 3 times a week. And yet we're allocating $43 million for the Crow's Landing Business Park, while people just a mile away can't get their basic needs met. That's very concerning. And then I also have a question about where does the demolition of Covanta fit into this plan? I know that you are part owners of the facility, and if they're no longer viable, then what are the plans for the demolition, and who's going to be responsible for that funding as well, is my question. Will I get an answer?
So public comment isn't necessarily a time for back and forth Q&A with staff.
But it is
If
for
you have some
clarifying questions, right?
Okay, if you want to interrupt me, you can.
I was asking a clarifying question.
You can
board has
address it
any
into the
questions of staff,
public
feel free to ask.
comment, and then when staff comes back up, they'll try to address those questions
Okay,
that you asked
thank
in
you.
public
Yeah,
comment.
I'm not intending to have a back and forth. I just want to know if my questions can be answered now, or if they will be answered later. I do understand that the board agenda says that I can ask clarifying questions. I guess it does not say that you have to answer me, but that would be greatly appreciated for people we pay lots of money to do the work.
Thank you. Any other members of the public commenting on this item? All right, seeing none, I will bring it back to staff. Hopefully you could address some of the questions asked by the public.
Dave and I actually each have something that we'd like to share. In terms of projects that are not specifically noted in the plan, as projects are identified and brought forward into future plans, that would be the time that they would be added into the schedule. So you specifically mentioned Covanta. That was not a submitted project before. It's also not a county property. Let me pause.
It is county.
It is county property. It would be subject to whatever are the next steps of our contractual agreement and discussion with the vendor that's there. So we don't currently have that in the plan. So that's what I'd like to say about that. And then Dave will talk about.
Dave Lehman, Stanislaus County Public Works Director. The Crow's Landing Industrial Business Park has several approvals. One was the CEQA document, and specific plan this board approved many years ago, several years ago. And the design has been contracted with Wood Rogers. We've been working on that actively. And we should, we have 65% plans right now, and we should be this summer at 100% and out to bid this fall on a few packages. One would be the general civil package, all the flat stuff, the water package, the sewer package, and right now, Public Works and the district are working on what we're going to request in a week or two, an emergency project out of Crow's Landing Community Services District to replace well number 4 out there. It's not currently operating and it needs to be rejuvenated. Well 5 generally goes dry come about July, early August, and so we're under the gun on getting well 4 up and running for that district. That's our backup well to well number 1, which the county has drilled. And let's see what else. Their engineer, the district engineer, just FYI, the district engineer is working with the state water board on the distribution package. Yes, they have old pipes and they do leak, and their district engineer is working on a package with the state water board. Did I hit all the questions?
Funding, let's say, for all your projects that are on the CIP, what funding source, because most of them are not identified, they're
right.
Essentially a wish list, but you have some that are in process, I believe. I looked at bridges.
Right, the bridges are all federalized, except for Keys Road, the little replacement project we're doing there. That's with local money. And Crows Landing Industrial Business Park did get an EPA STAG grant for $5 million. We're going to use that on the water system, the well, and the appurtenances for that. Oh, I neglected to mention I brought Sam Schrun, our deputy director for engineering services, here with me. We have that list. I mean, I guess we could share it out. It's not a secret, like where all these projects are funded with and how, and that's. But we have a fair amount of federal projects. We get a fair amount of money from those guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I apologize. I've already.
To review the what he said,
I apologize. I've already closed public comment. I apologize. Any other question or members of the board? Any questions? All right. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to accept the CIP plan for 2024 to 2028.
A motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Supervisor Chiesa, second by Supervisor Buckcondit. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. All right, no discussion items, so moving on to correspondence. Acknowledge receipt of correspondence and refer as recommended to the board on the agenda. Next is Board of Supervisors reports. Any of my colleagues have any things that they'd like to report out? All right. Seeing none, legislative, fiscal, and management report. We have Gavin Klein from Congressman Duarte's office. Thanks for sticking around with us, Gavin. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, county staff, community. Thank you, Gavin Klein, Congressman Duarte's office. Just want to give you all a quick update of a bill that passed through the House of Representatives on behalf of Congressman Duarte. Congressman Duarte is proud to announce that his bill, the Confidence in Clean Water Permits Act, House Resolution 7013, has passed the House of Representatives as part of Chairman Rouser's bill, House Resolution 7023. Its passage helps guarantee that the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permits provide clear and reliable listings of regulations, making them easily accessible and user-friendly for permit holders. Currently, the EPA's National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit riders often include language in the permits that provide loophole for groups to sue and block permits needed for critical energy and other infrastructure improvements. Congressman Duarte's provisions close these loopholes and limits the opportunity for unwarranted lawsuits, codifying previous longstanding practices as the EPA shield to permit holders from liability. As long as they have acted in good faith and according to the term in their permit, this type of regulatory certainty and legal protection from permit holders is necessary in improving our valley's water infrastructure. That is the end of my report. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. CEO Hayes.
Just a couple of items to report out. Would like to report out that Chairman Graywall did sign on behalf of the board a couple of letters of support for grant projects funding transit centers. The first was the 2024 San Joaquin Valley Blueprint Award, and the project requested was City Modesto's Transit Center Modifications Project. And then the second was on behalf of Stan RTA, an application for federal discretionary grant funding for the Stanislaus Transportation Center project, also at Modesto. That's all I have to report out.
All right, thank you. Well, that wraps up our meeting. Thank you. Oh,
you want to introduce Jennifer Hidalgo in the back? She comes to the county from the Senator Caballero's office, and welcome to the team.
Oh, appreciate it. Congratulations are in order. She's joining the county team.
She is.
All right. Well,
yesterday.
Congratulations. Thank you for being here today in your new role as a county employee. You have to announce anything?
No other announcements, sorry.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. And so with that, I appreciate everybody that stuck with us for the last almost 3 hours. Ron, Steve, Bianca, any other members of the public, thank you so much, and meeting adjourned.